When you hear the words horror media, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it classic horror movies, creepy pasta, mythical creatures, an out of place location? What if I told you that horror space has been around for more than 250 years? The earliest piece of horror media ever recorded was a 3-minute silent French film called Le Manoir, Le, Le Manoir du
Le Manuire du Diable.
filmed in 1896, which features demonic figures, ghosts, and magic tricks? Okay. Anyways, when I mention horror films, you're probably thinking Scream, The Thing, Hellraiser, or something more modern like Us, the FNAF movie, or Spree, starring that one guy from Stranger Things. Horror media has been around for years and is still relevant today. It's not just movies and books either. There are shows, video games, a horror series made on YouTube. It's an idea that can be made as something bigger. As of February 6th, the Iron Lung was released in theaters everywhere. Iron Lung was originally a video game on PC, a cosmic horror game about being welded in a submarine in an alien planet, forced to go into a blood sea for research. The game and its lore was so intriguing, YouTuber Markiplier decided he wanted this game to be a movie, self-funding the project, writing the script, directing it, and starring in it. It's a passion project that made $8.9 million on its opening night and made $18.2 million during its opening weekend. An indie movie like this should not have been so popular, but it did. And with another indie movie of The Backrooms by Kane Parsing that comes out May 29th of this year, I started to ask myself, why are indie movies becoming popular? Why are indie horror movies and VHS style horror making so much noise on the internet? Why are they so popular and why are people so interested in horror media? Well, in today's video, I will be answering these questions while using 3 categories of horror media, explaining how and why horror media is popular in this day and age. Horror movies carry this feeling of being on the edge of your seat. For example, hearing things in the dark, a thing that goes bump in the night, tapping on the window, or a knocking on your bedroom door.
What?
Anyways, horror movies and shows have been the pinnacle of horror media in the modern age. From adrenaline-pumping thriller to grotesque horror that gets your stomach clutching itself. People enjoy the thrill of jump scares to intense chases and the impossible to escape scenarios, while others enjoy gut-spill gore that can make any non-horror fans throw up their own stomach. Although similar, there are different types of horror content people consume as entertainment.
Why? What lunatic would sit for hours in a dark theater watching horror movies for fun? All it does is make your heart race, raise your anxiety, and spike your cholesterol.
Hey, what? What are you doing here? Get out! Well, as of 2025, almost 50% of Americans enjoy having their wits scared and their hearts accelerated. Clearly, this appeal of horror goes far beyond being a lunatic's craving fear. There is something deeper happening psychologically and emotionally when people choose to watch horror as entertainment. Research shows when watching a horror movie, the brain tends to react as if the threat on the screen is real. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes quicker, and the body releases adrenaline and dopamine. However, unlike real-life danger, the audience remains physically safe. This creates what you call a controlled fear environment, a way to experience danger without the actual consequences. The brain gets the thrill of survival mode while the body sits comfortably in a theater seat or on a couch. For many, that controlled spike is what makes fear feel exciting rather than horrifying. There is also a social aspect to it. Watching any horror media is rarely watched in isolation. Friends gather for scary movie nights, couples cling to each other during tense scenes, and the theaters erupt in shared screams and nervous laughter. Fear becomes a bonding experience, and an intense emotions creating memorable moments, strengthening connections between people. There is an article written by Larry Smith expressing how he too feels about horror movies. Quote, "They're not merely tales of terror. They are complex tapestries that are woven from our deepest fears, societal anxieties, and moral quandaries." And he's not wrong. Horror often reflects society's deepest fears. Zombies can represent pandemics or social collapse. Haunted houses can symbolize unresolved trauma. Serial killers can reflect fears of the unchecked parts of humanity. Though monsters and supernatural threats, horror explores themes that might be too uncomfortable to confront directly. It becomes a mirror for cultural anxiety. See, people do not watch horror movies because they are crazy or enjoy getting scared. They watch them because horror is thrilling, psychologically stimulating, socially engaging, and culturally reflective. What seems irrational at first glance is actually deeply human. Fear, when experienced safely, reminds us that we are all alive. It sharpens our senses, heightens our emotions, and then releases us back into reality, unharmed but exhilarated. In the end, horror is not about wanting to be scared. It's about wanting to feel something intensely in the world that can sometimes feel numb. There is this type of analog horror that has entities that intend to take the lives of others by driving people mad or insane. They like to play with their food, like luring them around their victim's house, turning on and off the lights, and chasing their victims around until they're cornered, then eat them. Analog horror has been a rising topic in the horror community. For the past 5 years, analog horror was commonly searched through Google, often having its ups and downs. And as of 2025, 21% of YouTube's general audience from the ages of 25 to 34 actively watch analog style horror on YouTube. But what is analog horror? Analog videos explore a new kind of horror, a style that makes you watch a story unfold in the lens of a tape recorder, a VHS tape, and lost media on the internet. Some stories are based on real footage, mixed with horror fantasies. As you watch these series, you actively piece together what exactly is going on. Instead of the constant jump scares or fast-paced action Hollywood has conditioned us to, analog horror is a slow burner, tension-building worldscape. The viewers are left with unsettling visuals, distorted audio, and strange messages that hint at something much darker happening behind the scenes. Many analog horror series use familiar objects such as emergency broadcast systems, security cameras, or old television programs. These everyday things become twisted into something disturbing. The feeling of something normal becoming used as a horror idea is what makes analog horror so effective. When a broadcast glitches, or a distorted voice appears on screen giving strange instructions, it makes the audience question what exactly went wrong. A perfect example of this is a series called Vita Carnis, also dubbed Living Meat. This series is about a world where strange living meat organisms suddenly appear on Earth in the year 1930s. These creatures come from a root-like vine called the kraut that evolve into different forms. At first, the video acts like a normal documentary, explaining these creatures. But as the series goes on, it reveals something darker, like human-eating monsters, secret experiments, and a hidden cult connecting to the creatures. The series is currently in its second season, and plans to go deeper with its stories, which I highly recommend watching if you're interested in documentary-style horror. Series like Vita Carnis, Obelisk, and The Backrooms have grown popular online because they created a sense of unease that stays with the viewers, and ARGs that keep these communities theorizing until the next upload. The combination of fear of the unknown and ARGs creates an atmosphere that feels strangely realistic, because the footage looks like something that could exist in the past, keeping viewers investigating like detectives and makes series like these feel more believable. Analog horror is a great place for new horror fans to start getting into creative horror series. Analog horror stands out for its focus on psychological fear rather than simple shock value. By using distorted recordings, mysterious messages, and slow revealing stories, it creates an experience that feels immersive and unsettling. As the genre continues to grow, more creators are experimenting with new ways to tell these eerie stories, proving that the best horror stories are not what chases you, but the ones waiting for you to step into its horrifyingly intelligent trap. Sound design is another powerful tool used in analog horror. Quiet static, low humming noises, distorted voices, or sudden silence can create tension that builds slowly over time. These sounds often feel unnatural, making viewers uncomfortable even if they cannot immediately explain why. The audio may contain hidden messages or reverse speech, encouraging viewers to listen carefully and analyze every detail, and if you're not careful, something might just jump out without warning. Georgia, I thought I told you. Mario?
Jose, are you okay?
Mario, what are you doing here? Look, there's no time. There's something. Liminal space. You love it, you hate it, you find it oddly comfortable. I made a short video about liminal space a while ago, touching on the topic and how eerie it is, and the effects it has to mental health. But I truly never got to go deep into the rabbit hole that is liminal space, and its vast community forums of levels, entities, and the meaning of what they represent. Liminal space has been one of my favorite topics of horror media since the release of The Backrooms by Kane Pixels. The endless rooms, the vast, empty space that seemed to have no end, gave me the desire to explore everything that is. Before we continue, I sense that many of you are a bit overwhelmed, or underwhelmed depending on who you are. So how about we take a break? Here, I made an edit of a video I watched a while ago. The original video is from a YouTuber named Forge Labs. I do recommend you watch his videos. Okay, here we go. Roll the video!
Shot 223. She a baddie, rocks a link.
Want to talk? No interest in talk.
I didn't put those there. What is that? There's a guy right there! He's right there! Who is that guy? No, 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 no. What's he doing? Oh, no! Oh, there's another one in here! Oh, he's breaking blocks underneath me! Jump, 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 jump. What was that? What's running after me? I hear running, I hear running. I've had enough of this.
Oh, is it over? Okay, let's continue then. Liminal space. Liminal space has been one of the most interesting types of horror media in our day and age. In January of 2023, liminal space took off in Google search and had substantial growth over the years, thanks to content creators on YouTube like Kane Pixels, the Briscoe Park channel, and the Glendale Archives, and many others brought a new style of horror to YouTube that is liminal space.
But these series contain creatures and monsters from another world. What about the true essence that is liminal space?
Dude, I told you to get out. Out! Well, yes, liminal space are traditionally empty or abandoned spaces, like hallways, airports, or parking lots at night, which evokes feelings of unease, nostalgia, and disorientation. Originating from the Latin word limen, or threshold in English, these in-between zones represent a boundary state that is familiar yet surreal, often described as uncanny valley for architecture. And for the last few years, this concept mostly stayed just that, uncanny architecture. And like I mentioned, liminal space exploded in popularity in 2023, which most locations in real life were often empty and had that uncanny feel. For many, this would often have made people uncomfortable, lost and disoriented, even making people feel stuck and unsure about the future. While being in these scenarios or in an empty location, often one feels like they're being watched from afar, and that what makes liminal space such a perfect example of horror media. That's why in any series involving the in-between, there is often an antagonist, a creature or being that stalks you from afar. Whoever is taking the picture, the video, or you. When mentioning liminal space to anyone, the most people talk about is the level called the pool rooms is a level that is similar to the back rooms, except this level revolves around the memories of indoor pools, water parks, and uncanny rooms that clearly make no sense in being there, from stairs that lead nowhere to chlorine waters and the occasional entity that roams the place. Entities aside, the pool rooms are the most popular levels people reminisce with, especially the Gen Z generation. From times of being outdoors, parks with water features, and front yard play using the house water hose, simpler times this generation missed. There is something calming about this level too, the thought of just being there, quiet, empty, peaceful. No kids running around, no teens causing trouble. Just you, the water, and the occasional rushing water from a nearby room. And it makes sense. In most internet forums, the pool rooms are considered a safe level in the back rooms, a place to relax and to get away from the monsters chasing you. But what exactly are the monsters? I'm not going to talk about the hundreds of entities listed by what the community built, but I wanted to talk about what they may represent. In our point of view, the monsters in the backrooms are entities that have this humanoid look, creatures hunting us. But in the psychological point of view, these monsters are represented as our mental issues, traumas, regrets, depression, thoughts and memories we have collected and have balled up inside us, and is now haunting us, stalking us, watching and waiting. It's looking for the perfect opportunity for us to be vulnerable, unstable, broken, and when it does, they strike, all at once, no mercy, like a predictable jump scare, and in many cases, people all around the world choose to take their own lives. They harm themselves, guilt themselves, their past finally catching up and dragging them to the deepest parts of darkness. and for many, it's therapy. Finding empty and isolated locations help us seek peace. And once we do, we find the time to recollect our thoughts and to focus, to finally take that deep breath we desperately wanted to exhale. No people to bother us, to distract us, to be ourselves and to put down the burden we've carried our whole lives. For a chance to catch our breath, then we can pick it back up and carry on with our lives. Sometimes the best way to deal with our problems is to confront it ourselves, by remembering and talking to our inner thoughts. We confront the problem head on and then we make peace with it. In the end, many people around the world find liminal space an escape for their mental health. It helps them to disconnect from all problems, to let go of people's expectations, and to seek peace with themselves. Love it or hate it, liminal space has been one of the most niche methods to help with mental health. Whether you tried it or not, looking for spots to hang out or being with friends helps with your mental health. Also, mental health has been one of the most neglected parts of our health, especially to older generations, and I highly recommend you look into it. I truly hope you enjoyed this video and the insight on why people in our day and age truly love watching, making, and talking about horror media. Until next time.
Okay, for the last few months, I have been stalked by a creature called... Yes, this creature is real, and is currently watching you as we speak. Please listen to what I have to say.